The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning this morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2024, and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. Got a full show today. It's a World News Tuesday with Mr. Mark Palmer.
Hey, Erin, morning to you.
Morning, sir. We got lots to talk about. I mean, lots to talk about. We're going to start with a guest in studio for a very important event. Just in case you didn't remember, Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Palmer, you didn't remember?
I kind of did, but...
What you're supposed to say is, I finished off my Valentine's Day preparation so long ago, I forgot it was Valentine's Day, Mr. Palmer. That's what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
For me, 18th. I want to thank the Guardian family.
Well, Tamara said she's happy, but I should really
Do
between the
something.
line. Yeah, do something. Okay, good.
Do something.
All right.
And what you do is you do something, and then you very quietly and patiently wait for them to do something back to you, for you. Not to you, for you. Valentine's Day is for men, two people. Not just for men to give gifts, but for men to receive gifts. Valentine's Day is not just for women to be shown love and attention, it's also for men to be shown love and attention. This is one of those spaces where the world is definitely gendered and there's a bias, and we don't acknowledge the wholeness of men. We don't take the opportunity to honor, to revere, to celebrate, to hug, to take part in the beauty of men, right? And so, dear women, dear people, if you have a male loved one, do something special for them for Valentine's Day, man. Because they deserve it too. Joining me in studio, joining Mr. Palmer and I in studio this morning is Mr. Gerard Darville. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Erin. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We are today promoting an event for Valentine's Day.
Yes,
It is all about love.
it is all about love.
It's not necessarily about romantic love. Yes, and loving people enough to sacrifice, loving people enough to extend yourself to the wider community. And having love for people, even people you don't know, right? This is it. We know how to love people we know. We know how to extend to people we know. We know how to show empathy to people we know. We know how to create space for people that we know. But sometimes we find it difficult doing that for people we don't know.
Define agape love, because I think a lot of people, I think some people have a kind of an idea what it means, right? Because, you know, we like to use our left brain and we like to chop love up into like 100 different things, like filial love and you know, the different types of love. But talk about agape love, because I think that is really the true love, right? Yeah.
It's based off of unconditional love. And the theme, what we're rolling in, is we want to give it back in blood, right? We want to be able to unconditionally love our brothers, our sisters, and even like us, right? And that is important because oftentimes we can associate ourselves with people who look like us, with people within our circles, but when you have persons outside of your circles, right, we find it kind of difficult to pair our hearts with them. And so this is why I think that we need to have a little bit more agape love, unconditional love in our hearts.
Absolutely.
In our communities.
Absolutely. So Mr. Darville is here today to promo an event taking place tomorrow on Valentine's Day. It is the Candice Simonette Darville Foundation's second annual blood drive in honor of Ms. Candice Simonette Darville,
Yes.
your
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Condolences on your loss.
Thank you.
And we say to you, thank you for being brave enough to share this experience with the wider community, with the country as a whole, in an attempt to creating better infrastructure, better resources, greater access to other people for the dire medical services that they need. We say thank you very much. So let's get at it. Tomorrow
at 10 o'clock, from 10 to 4, we'll be at UB, at the Care of Bethel building, in partnership with UB, in partnership with Mr. Flowers, Craig Flowers. Everybody wins.
Yes.
And we have aligned ourselves with strategic partnerships so that we can be able to incentivize blood donation, to be able to give back to those who are able to support the lives of others. We've tried it before when we tried to just have regular blood drives. The Public Hospital Authority, they were only able to successfully gather about 9 units of blood.
Okay.
There was a max capacity of 50 units of blood
Okay.
that they need to get per day. And so we've decided that with their corporate partnership, that we would try to help our best to get at that 50 units a day.
Okay, so the target is 50 units a day.
50 units a
The
day.
public healthcare system needs.
Yes.
Okay, this is great. So,
Not that they need, right, that they can handle because of, we understand, deficiencies within the public healthcare sector.
Okay.
The machine that they use for cross-matching the blood was destroyed and moving, $1 million machine destroyed by water damage. 2 of the refrigerators in the blood bank are not working, so they cannot hold the capacity that they need. Blood is a sensitive issue, so it's a time balance. And testing equipment that they're using for the regular labs right now. And so they themselves are kind of compromised, so they only can handle 50 at this point per
right.
day.
So tomorrow's event is about a blood drive itself, but the work expands beyond that. The work is also about building the capacity of the public health care system by ensuring that they have functioning infrastructure and the quantity of human resources that they need to be able to manage effectively and efficiently a sustainable blood collection and storage program.
Yes.
Okay.
And also the fact that to bring awareness is that, they have on their books a role for a blood procurement officer. This is supposed to be a person that is actively going out there trying to recruit blood for the hospital, trying to keep the capacity there. But they have taken that title off of the books. So now the hospital no longer has a person that goes out there looking for blood, recruiting blood, organizing blood. And the model that they use right now is that community-minded persons like ourselves, they ask for us to organize these blood drives in order to support the hospital and the patients that come in there.
All right, so the
Wow,
hospital
I
needs
didn't realize it was that.
a blood recruitment officer, and they also need to build the capacity of their patient advocate's office, right, as
Yes.
well, because a patient's advocate would fill in the gaps a little bit, right,
Yes.
in that space. Okay.
So I was associated with a nonprofit called Friends of the Blood Bank, which was Basil Christie ran that. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore because getting sustainability in these organizations is difficult. But it was funded by Alive and other sponsors, and we were able to raise a significant amount of blood for the blood bank. But to hear now that the equipment is down is tragic, isn't it?
It is tragic, right? And the manufacturer won't hold up the warranty because of the improper movement of the equipment by the Public Hospital Authority. So that's $1 million equipment that has gone down the drain.
I mean, at least sell it for scrap. Or we could take it to BTVI and see if we could start a technical mechanics. I mean, we could do something with it, just not what it was intended to do. We got lots of work ahead of us, right?
Yes.
I understand the need for critique. We need to understand the problem by thorough, critical interrogation so that we can devise better solutions. Is the Candice Simonet Darville Foundation the only existing NGO that focuses on accessibility to this vital medical service or function?
No, you have others. I've seen many others come into the space that host blood drives quite frequently.
Okay.
And, that is good. But what we're looking at is that we need it on a more consistent basis. Understand that they need 50 units per day. And if persons are doing a blood drive once a month, once a year, it's still an inefficient process. And plus, most of the blood needs to be tested, needs to be screened before
it's usable, viable.
Before it's usable and viable. And so a part of it is that we have to build the awareness inside our communities to understand where we are in the hospital, right? It's easy to complain, but complaining doesn't provide solutions. I say all of this so that we can understand where we are, we can understand what we need to do, and that it has to be a collective effort, because pointing fingers at persons that don't have to use these services, so it serves no purpose for our friends, our brothers who have to go into the hospital.
Being right doesn't save lives necessarily in this instance. We have to focus our energy on rebuilding the infrastructure, both technical and human and cultural and social infrastructure.
Yes.
So not just that there's a functioning blood bank, but that there are organizations that can support a system, right, of regular donations.
Yes.
You need an office with an individual who has a list of donors who can continually call donors, right? We need some sort of system where we can collect data from people and say, are you willing to give blood in case of an emergency? Or can we, this organization, contact you in case of emergency, in case we need blood donations?
The blood bank does have that system in place, but having this critical role that was just recently mentioned, the person that looks at
the blood recruitment
officer
officer
and then goes through that and has a good understanding, and because that data already exists. So we just need somebody in there to be able to do that. So I'm thinking, tomorrow is great. Between 10 and 4, right?
Yes.
Keva Bethel Building, UB. Yes. What about those of our listeners who can't make it tomorrow?
So
where could they go? Is there still the blood bank in existence at the PMH?
Yes, the blood bank is still in existence at PMH. And what a part of it is that if you can't donate blood, we're asking if you can be able to donate in kind, so that we can be able to support those that can. A part of also the problem, and to be fair, is that we as a people, we need to become healthier. We have so many underlying comorbidities that we can't donate. Last year, we had over 200 people showed up, and more than 80% had to be turned away, either by high blood pressure, tattoos, piercings, they've been drinking the night before, right? And so you have so many different issues. And in thinking about it, right, we say that the Bahamas hosts 8 million tourists a year, right? And to say, well, guess what? If our population is not producing the amount of blood that is requisite inside the hospital, then maybe we could be able to tap into health tourism. Maybe we could be able to tap into our hotels and provide rebates for visitors who want to come and be able to save the lives of the persons that make paradise great, right?
So I just write that down. How do we benefit from, I don't want to say take advantage of, how do we benefit from the multitude of tourists coming in the country? Is there a process that can fit within the sort of tight cruise ship model? And then how would we incentivize someone to take time out of their vacation to do that, right? Well, one thing is you extend the invitation before they get here.
Yes.
And you let them know, if this is the sort of culture that you're into, you can donate blood in the Bahamas. Another text here says, I want to say thank you, text. What about a business that pays for blood and resells to the hospital, right? Bahamians value, there's something about our culture. Now, is that anti-health
Well,
The culture of blood donation.
So what happens is that last year, June, I presented the Minister of Health with a white paper establishing that we need to change our policy because currently it is illegal to pay for blood.
Okay. In the Bahamas or
In the Bahamas.
Worldwide?
No, in the Bahamas.
Okay.
This is because we signed on with PAHO,
Okay.
right? And PAHO has a policy. They said that if you pay for blood, then you would attract the wrong type of persons to give blood. I call it hogwash, right? Because you can't say that because a person needs monetary compensation that their blood is of lesser value than somebody who doesn't. It's quite baffling that in the healthcare sector you can be able to pay for any amount of services, drugs, or treatment. You could buy a heart, you could buy a lung, you could buy a kidney. You could even buy a brain, right?
But you can't buy blood.
But you can't buy blood, and blood is necessary for the operation of all of these transplants.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that we can create an infrastructure that protects the potential victim, right?
Yeah.
That you say, okay, somebody is, quote unquote, trafficking blood, right? They are hostage, essentially, taking their blood with no compensation and then selling it, right? But you can work around that by you have to come in and donate the blood.
Yeah.
We won't receive already. We won't receive blood that's already been removed from someone, right? Okay, so what do I need to do to prepare? Like you said, there are reasons why you can't give blood. How do I get 24 hours to prepare to give blood tomorrow. What do I need to do starting now?
So you have to eat 30 minutes before attending.
Okay.
I would suggest that you don't drink the night before because alcohol can be able to raise your pressure.
Right.
And just make sure that you don't get any tattoos or piercings today or tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And that's basically it, right? You come out there and we have all of the medical professionals. The Public Hospital Authority is partnering with us to be able to get this done. And we have UB and the medical staff there as well. And all you have to do is eat on time, 30 minutes before. Don't drink so that your pressure doesn't be up, and we're good to go.
Now, can we say give staff time off and don't give them a hassle because we don't need their pressure to go up?
Yes.
Give them lots of time. Say, look, if you're giving blood tomorrow, I can give you 2 hours off.
Yes.
Don't rush. Don't drive your pressure up. Get there safely. Get back to work safely. We will accommodate you.
And so a part of that, if we had a blood procurement officer, we could have been able to look at all of the corporate entities in the Bahamas and develop a sustainable method whereas we collect blood every day from one of these corporate partners.
And we go to them. So we don't disrupt their daily operations.
Yes. And then again, right, a part of it is that, persons want to be valued, right? Persons don't, because a part of it is, when we look at it, it's a problem within the system itself why persons have been hesitant to donate blood because of the Physicians Alliance and their intermingling inside the hospital. So if I or you go to give blood for somebody who is in the hospital, right, you have the Physicians Alliance that run a paid practice in the public hospital using national public blood for their private business model. And so persons feel some type of way that I'm giving but you are profiting from me giving my blood, and the blood does not necessarily go to who I intended it for it to
So
go
within
to.
the private system,
Within the public hospital,
right,
you have the private ward.
and the public ward. You're saying on the private ward, people have to pay for the amount of blood that they receive?
No, they don't have to pay for the amount of blood, but it is a conflict of interest within the
Right, because
Physicians
they're
Alliance.
charging for-
Because they're charging for services. So they won't ever say, I'm charging you for the blood. But if you have a heart replacement, of course you're going to need blood. And so when they charge you $200,000 to do the heart replacement, and then you have a person who has leukemia, right, on the public ward, you have a doctor who works both as a consultant in the hospital and runs their private practice. If there is, for sake of this example, 1 unit of blood leave, who gets to determine by that
Right.
doctor? Does it go to the heart patient or does it go to the person?
And
with
there's no
leukemia?
established protocol for this already?
No,
It's left up to the discretion of
the doctor, right? And this is what is
And it's usually
unfair.
the chief medical officer comes in and makes a determination on that case. But I understand that blood it costs to process the blood for $700 a pint. Now, is that correct? Is that the kind of figure we're talking about?
Well, you understand all of that is relative based on salary scales, based on the type of equipment, based off the cost of electricity, based off all of these underlying things that go into the business model. So if you have a very inefficient business model from the start, of course the cost of blood will go up.
Absolutely. Mr. Darville, I'm feeling compelled to ask you to join us for the rest of the show. Let's give out some more information about this event tomorrow because it's something I missed off the list.
Yes.
The Kendi Simonette Darville Foundation is incentivizing the public to come out. The first 50 donors will receive a $25 gift certificate courtesy of the foundation.
Courtesy of the foundation.
This is wonderful. Who is the businesses offering the gift certificate? Or can I take my $25 gift certificate any way I want to go?
Well,
because I go into the farmer's market.
well, for sake of, because it's money,
Yeah.
right? When you come out there, you would receive your coupon and it could be used anywhere. You cash, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I mean, for the general public, we
For the
say
general-
thank you.
yes.
First 50 donors tomorrow morning starts 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
University of the Bahamas, Keva Bethel building. That's the main building, aka I think all the folks know it as the A block. But you come into the main building with the columns,
Yes.
and we will be there tomorrow morning on the clock in Guardian Radio AM. We'll be joining you from 10 to 12.
Yes.
You guys, please come out and support the event. Even if you're uncertain about giving blood, come out and ask questions,
Yes.
right? Calm your fears. Come out and ask questions and determine whether you can give blood tomorrow or whether you're going to arrange to give blood at another time now that you have more details about when and how you can give blood.
And also to address another fear, persons may be scared of giving blood because they're scared to know their status, right? And I want you to know that it is okay to know your status. This is not the 1970s anymore, right? That you don't have to live your life in fear with anything that you have. We are more accepting society, right? And we understand that issues, and it's better for you to know your status coming out to the blood drive and allowing the medical professionals to say, hey, this is what's up, right? This is the course of treatment that you need, rather than just putting your head in the sand about it.
And it is
Absolutely.
confidential too.
Yes,
so
it is very-
only you will know.
Right, and I think that's a big barrier for some people, right? For me, medical privacy is a big issue. It doesn't mean that I'm opposed to giving blood or making a donation of some sort or disclosing information. It just means that I'm concerned about the infrastructure and legal protocols that govern the space. Where can we find the legislation and protocols that govern this space?
Yeah, so we have the PHA, right? You go on their website,
Okay.
and they have all of the laws there.
Okay.
And if you're not certain, you could always ask a doctor, right?
Absolutely.
Most of them know very well
But the
about the proceeds and
The
procedure.
protocols, yeah, and the
Yes,
procedures.
protocols.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. And these are subjects that we need to broach, right? Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about an idea that somebody put in my head about dementia islands, right? A model that is taken off in Nordic countries for living with dementia in an attempt to provide the greatest quality of life and the safest and most comfortable environment for people to live in. These are the conversations that we need to have because we love one another,
Yes.
because we care for one another. And if you're getting old and miserable like me, right, you say, I don't have enough strength in my heart to love and take care of everybody. And so I pray that the infrastructure necessary for people to be able to access the health services that they need when they need it exists. Because when I feel miserable, I may not want to put $1 in the kitty. But at least I know that I work towards creating a sustainable infrastructure that supports people now and will exist to support me if I need it.
Yes, and what it is that, we just need persons with the political will, right? Because as much as we want to be able to create these sustainable cities, these sustainable models, we need visionaries, we need persons that will do what they say, so that, yes, we, as the public, we would do our part to push forward, but the government sometimes just needs to assist when they see that persons are trying, right? The government needs to do a better job at assisting, stepping in, and trying to make sure that the red tape, the bureaucracy is not there, so that, you don't get frustrated in the process.
Right. Our governance models need to inculcate empathy, both in individual actors and collectively. So like you say, they can understand the urgent need to remove the bureaucracy,
Yes.
to make it as easy as possible for people to access life-saving medical services, regardless of how well they did in school, regardless of whether they paid attention or was serious about their education in the rest of their life. That's not a requirement for access to medical services.
And like you said, right, Erin, it should not be that you're amicable to receive blood, right? You should not be the most popular person, because the model that the Public Hospital Authority is using now, it's a contest to see how popular you are, right? Persons have to first recognize you, persons have to first like you after they recognize you,
And then like you enough to take time out of their day.
and then also have the correct blood type, right? So now, how do you expect for one person who may be an introvert all of their lives now, that need access to blood, to be able to check all of these boxes, right? It's unfair, because that person paid taxes, they paid their NIB, they contributed to the greater good of society, but they choose to be an introvert, right? That's just the way how they function. And so that person should be penalized for that?
Not at all.
I don't think so.
Absolutely. I give you a real-time, real-life example. I'm remembering now a flyer that I saw a couple of days ago for a Miss Pam Woods. Family, friends requesting people to come and donate blood on her behalf. I remember the name because I had a teacher at QC named Mrs. Woods, right? And so, like you say, it's without a system, right? Like there should be a website, a media space where people can plug into every day. How many new requests for blood are there?
Yes.
Right? I intended to give blood in July. It's May. You know what? I'm going to get ready to give it in June. I'm not going to wait until July. I see the need. And then I can also give again in a month's time.
Yes.
How quickly can I give blood? In between,
8 weeks.
I need at least 8 weeks. So
Yeah,
that's
you
2
need-
months.
You need 8 weeks in order for it to build back up.
Right. And so people require systems.
Yes.
This process requires a system so that people can organize their lives to be able to participate in it.
That you get an automatic email after 8 weeks from this mythical person.
This app or the recruitment officer that says, "Hey, the time, your new period is up. You can now come and give blood again
Yeah.
at the venue of your choice."
Right.
And without directing people to a particular patient or a particular entity, you just say, "Look, if you're ready to give blood, you're ready to give blood."
Yeah. And so, we actually, all of us collectively as Bahamians, are subsidizing what the hospital does, because the hospital doesn't have to bear these costs to put on a blood drive, right?
Right.
Because now the charitable organization
Are stepping.
bear costs. So we're already showing you that we are willing to partner with you, right, to be able to build capacity, to be able to ensure that everyone has equal and fair access to medical services. But again, right, we need the government's help, because at the end of the day, everything has to go right back to the government, right? And it's unfair to ask corporate Bahamas, us as people, to spend thousands of dollars to put on a blood drive, to incentivize people, right? Thank you to Island Wholesale for being able to provide coconut water. Thank you for Jimmy's for being able to provide a strong back and a triple B.
Who's Amplify?
Amplify, that's Daneldo Harris.
Okay.
Right, and he does CMOS.
Okay.
Right, that's excellent, like over 90 nutrients and everything.
92 nutrients and minerals.
Yes,
for your
right.
for your daily needs.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so, right, we have a lot of persons that want to step in, that want to be in the space to assist, right? But then they ask, well, all right, well, how can the government be more accountable? Because now to say that we lost $1 million machine, we have 2 refrigerators that are down. We don't see them trying to partner with corporate Bahamas to adopt parts of the hospital. We don't see you getting enough monetary value from your agreement with the Physicians Alliance in using half of the hospital, using half of the beds to be able to run a private practice using the hospital. Right? You have to be able to tighten up on some of these things if you're expecting us to continue to partner with you. Otherwise than that, it feels like an abusive relationship.
And at the very least, a dysfunctional relationship where unnecessary trauma and conflict arises, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, because you give blood for the common good, but then now, once I give this blood, the doctors have access to this blood to run their private practice. And this is not being, we've been saying for years and years that we need a new hospital. But everybody keeps turning to the government to build this hospital. If Physicians Alliance understands that they need beds for treatment, and they are a for-profit organization with doctors making money from these things, why can't you support the healthcare system by establishing your own hospital?
And I will say that making yourself a public ward is not sufficient compensation for what it is that you access and you benefit from. I put that on the table. Now, Mr. Darwin, will you be at the blood drive tomorrow?
Yes, I will be there tomorrow.
Absolutely. So we can pick up this conversation tomorrow and continue to explore avenues, solutions, strategies to bring all stakeholders together to provide a more effective service and to maintain a more efficient system to support the needs of Bahamians. And I'm going to say this because it appears as if this is what grabs politicians' attention. And to ensure that we have the vital resources necessary to be able to accommodate the needs of tourists if they ever have a catastrophic or critical health incident.
Yes.
Unlike the Prime Minister, we have to figure out how to recenter the citizen in the process of governance and the operation of the country. See, the nation is concerned about politics and economics, but the country is concerned about the people. We need to get back to recentering. I think one of the most important principles is you're already somebody. You don't have to be somebody in the eyes of society to deserve access to these services. Even if you don't create anything that society thinks is of value, you in and of yourself have intrinsic value, inherent dignity, inherent divinity, and you have, as far as I'm concerned, a constitutional right to equal and equitable access to medical and healthcare services in this country.
Yes.
Mr. Darville, the Candice Simonet Darville Foundation, we say thank you for joining us this morning and for hosting this wonderful event.
Thank you.
Now you get ready, because tomorrow we may be playing the How Bahamian Are You game show, Valentine's Day edition.
All right.
Where we ask questions like, what do you love more, fried fish or stew fish?
Stew fish.
Let's play. Ready? You ready? Okay, we're gonna have a good time tomorrow while we're doing a very important thing. Mr. Darville, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If you have to go, you have to go. If you don't have to go, on the other side of the break, I'm going to try and sneak in these subjects. I want to talk about the tragic loss of a police officer in the line of duty, and whether that will be an impetus for the state to begin to shift our traffic enforcement models. I want to talk about the Chinese social credit rating system and if we are on the verge of implementing similar systems here, and if Bahamians will then understand the importance of governing themselves. And then I want to ask the Prime Minister, what should we put on the front page if you don't want to talk about the things that we as citizens are most vulnerable to? We'll be right back. You're on the clock with Erin Greene.
It's that time of year. Time for the Guardian Media Group's annual Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Fair at the Mall at Marathon, Saturday, March 2nd. Starting at 10 a.m., admission is totally free. Games, prizes, samples, and surprises are free. So, bring your mom, bring your dad, bring grandma and the baby, and come and receive free health screening, new product info, and sound financial advice. The Healthy and Wise Fair, happening Saturday, March 2nd at the Mall at Marathon. Join the movement.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
So when the news is hot, he keeps the studio cool so I could catch myself. I'm not saying that I'm getting older and my temperatures fluctuate, but the news today is hot. Okay, so Mr. Palmer, I want to try balance these things, right? Tragic loss of a police officer. Police inspector injured in traffic accident. Inspector Thomas McIntosh, who was injured during a traffic stop on the 31st of January, has died. Family, friends, and colleagues paid tribute to Inspector McIntosh with a hero walk at Doctors Hospital on Thursday morning. His organs will be donated to people in need. I'm just going to read the list, the headlines that I gathered for the new year. The first unfortunate traffic fatality of the year. Traffic death of Abaco teen leaves family inconsolable. This story was in the Nassau Tribune on the 9th. The young man, Jamarian Russell, unfortunately passed away on the 4th after a tragic accident in Abaco. His family, his cousin, described him as a slow-tempered, outgoing, and mature person. His family and friends are devastated by the loss. Next story, male motorist killed in traffic fatality in Eleuthera. Mr. Holland Bodie life on Thursday, January the 11th. A second traffic fatality was recorded in just hours after that first one on the island of Eleuthera near the Glass Window Bridge. Another story, fatal traffic accident claims life of male motorcyclist. That's in Eyewitness News, 21st of January. Another story, man dies in traffic accident, 7th of February. A man died and 4 others were injured following a car crash on Meeting Street this morning, police said. A story in the Nassau Tribune on the 3rd of January, but from last year. Man charged with vehicular manslaughter after accident leads to a man drowning on Christmas Day in Abaco. And then a short excerpt from an article from the One Eleuthera Foundation written by Mr. Kieron Smith. I'm just going to take an excerpt from that. In 2023, Traffic Division Chief Superintendent David Lockhart and his team shared in a town hall meeting held in Eleuthera that there was a 600% increase in fatalities when comparing 2021 to 2022. Eleuthera recorded 73 crashes. In 2022, that number jumped to 117. In 2024, Eleuthera registered 2 traffic fatalities within hours of each other within the first month of the year. This circumstance or this environment may be the result of increased traffic on the island, deteriorating roads, and an existing driving culture that has not evolved with the expansion of people in cars on the island. That figure is devastating, a 600% increase in fatalities. I remember being in Eleuthera at the age of 18, 107 years ago, on a trip from James Siston to Rock Sound. And if I tell you that is the first time I flew
80 miles an hour.
I refuse to drive with that person ever again in life. They knew the road. I know they knew the road. Right? Like I got muscle memory in Road Hill, like I know Our Father's Prayer. I know that, right? But never again. So I'm in a quick ending discussion. The question I want to put on the table is, while we're focused on murders, have we, and criminal behavior, do we understand the link between lawlessness and criminality and how an evolving disregard for basic traffic controls and driving rules and procedures is creating a crisis, which ties into our conversation this morning. How much blood is required to attend to people catastrophically injured, critically injured in traffic accidents? See, we don't want to become like China, where motorists understand that at the end of the day, it may be better for them if they actually kill the person in an accident versus maim them or injure them critically, right? Because then they'd be required to take care of that person for the rest of their life. But if they kill the person, short thing they have to take care of, it may result in some jail time. We don't want to get like that. And then I want Bahamians to ask themselves this question. Are we being driven to a place where we end up demanding the most draconian responses to crises that we created ourselves, that we allowed to evolve because our refusal to govern ourselves? I want to say good morning to the woman who came out of Sayers Road this morning and refused to look at oncoming traffic. Did not see the turn signal and the person entering the lane and just forced their way out of the corner. I want to say to that young white woman, I don't know how privileged you are, but engaging in behavior that risks people having to go to PMH in its current state should be a criminal offense. To those people on Mackey Street that continue to turn right on red, to the mom last week Friday that apparently I frightened to death as I blew my horn at her because she intentionally, knowingly ran the red light with her cell phone in her hand.
But Erin, this is solvable. It's really simple. Really simple. In other countries, you have cameras which govern your speed. You have cameras at every junction. So if somebody goes through a red light or turns on a red light, boom. And
we know that Rev Analytics, a subsidiary of Cable Bahamas, did the testing at Marathon Light.
It's so easy. I know it for a lot of Bahamians, they'll be like, oh, we're going to get more of this kind of surveillance. But that's been going on for 30 years in other countries. And you get used to it. And it does modify your behavior. Believe me, when I go to England and I'm traveling, it modifies. When I see that camera coming up, boom, I slow right down if I have gone over that limit. Right?
Absolutely. And I will balance my desire for complete and utter freedom with a social responsibility if I know that I am going to benefit from it. The idea that my government wants to continually adopt obtrusive technology for their own purposes and not for the benefit of Bahamians. For instance, body cameras. There's an entire culture of body camera use throughout the developed world. But we come to the Bahamas, and then Bahamian authorities want to tell you, well, no, why should you? Well, citizens lobbied for body cameras to be purchased with taxpayer dollars for the interests of the public, and then also to protect police officers so that they can accurately document what it is they did when they're accused of doing wrongdoing. But its primary purpose is for the benefit of the citizens. In the same way, the primary purpose of the public hospital is for the benefit of the citizens and not for the benefit of private physicians.
Right. I think that the government can be able to assist in this measure by being able to provide a reward based on your driver's license renewal and your vehicle license renewal by having your vehicle outfitted with a camera, right, that can be able to monitor speed, that can be able to see oncoming traffic, that can be able to aid in investigations of accidents, that can be able to aid in investigation of police officers, right, on scenes, that can be able to provide, whereas you say on the outside, because I don't want to listen to your conversations on the inside, but if you cooperate with us, right, and you use this camera device, have to pay for your driver's license renewal, and those that choose not to, right, would have to pay for their driver's license renewal.
Or the insurance rates would be reduced because of your good driving record.
Right, and this is where you can have evidence-based, and you would say, all right, well, hey, if you don't want this, well, we understand the type of driver that you are, the type of person that you are, right, and it's no judgment on you, right, but we know that all of the safe drivers, all of the good citizens that have nothing to hide, right, are participating in this exercise, and with that, you have it monitored, and you can be able to say, all right, well, on this camera, I saw this person run the red light, and instead of me writing down the license plate that cannot hold up in court, you actually have video footage, and that can, you could say, all right, well, for every person caught, you get a part of the fine, right, that goes with it, right? And I'm sure that, you know, your persons that drive taxis all the time, they can be your watchdogs on the road. And when persons do not know who has these cameras on their car versus that, then persons would have to operate as every car has
every camera. Absolutely.
It's a lot of technology, though, right?
Yeah,
it is a lot of technology.
It is, right? It is. But at the end of the day, how expensive is it? I talked to the Ministry of Works, and they said that every traffic accident, right, the loss in life is about $1 million. It costs the government about $1 million in lost revenue and every lost life of a traffic accident. So how expensive is it?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Darville. One last headline. I just have to read it out loud. We're not going to have time to get into it. PM chides media. I mean, why are you chastising the media after such an effective media busting campaign, dear Prime Minister? I did not have time to talk about this today. I want you all to know this is important. But the second annual blood drive being presented by the Kendi Simonet Darville Foundation is even more important than this madness we see on our front page today. Mr. Darville, we see you tomorrow morning. We continue this conversation. Get ready. We're going to play the How Bahamian Are You game show Valentine's Day edition, and we will have representatives from the Bahamas Dementia Association joining us as well tomorrow as we talk the need for shifting models of governance and social governance as well. Mr. Darville, thank you. Mr. Palmer.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
See you next week.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk more about the Friends of the Blood Bank. What a wonderful organization. We see if we can revive a similar model. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And whoever it is that have them big juju, why you all forget my name? You guys have a great day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.